Hey fellas, how you doing? It's Johnny. In this video I wanted to talk to you guys about criticism, because I had a couple of emails come through this week about criticism, and I speak to people every week on my 6 weeks program. I'm coaching quite a few students abroad over Skype, and just the general concerns of people that I speak to from day to day. People are really affected by criticism. I won't say the name, but I had an email, quite an interesting email from a guy that emailed me asking for some advice on how to deal with a particular family member, I think it was his brother, that was calling him awful names, calling him heinous names, some names that are really bad. And he was saying that he can't understand it, how a family member could treat him like this, and it's making him really angry. And he was asking me for some advice. So I responded to the email. I wasn't going to make this video, but then I thought about it and I thought, this is pretty much what I built my whole YouTube channel on. This is pretty much how I've designed the last 10 years of my life on. This is what made me, I hope I don't sound arrogant when I say this, this is what personally made me become successful today. Successful in every sense. Financially, my goals, emotionally, spiritually, my relationships with myself, with people around me, some of the small goals, even doing these YouTube videos. I'm successfully able to go on to a YouTube video, speak to the whole world being myself, like who I am, and inspire anyone who watches my videos. Again, I'm not being arrogant. I've got over 26,000 subscribers, you could say fans, all over the world, and I've got almost 5 million views. I've transformed people's lives all around the world. I literally mean that. People have travelled all around the world, South America, Asia, Europe, America. I've lost count. They've travelled all around the world to come and meet me in person, to work with me and get my help, whether that's confidence of women, confidence of people. I've also, my biggest achievement I would say this year was healing my childhood trauma, my pain with my dad. I was about to say you can't imagine how painful that has been for me, how much pain and shame and self-hate I carried for so many years, and hate towards other people and hate towards the world. So once again I'm going to share my story to answer this question, and I want to answer this question in a way where I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not giving you typical life coaching advice saying do this, this and this. I'm going to share my experience with you, and hopefully that's going to inspire you to get your own experience. I think that's the best form of teaching, in the sense where I'm not going to teach you anything. I'm going to share my story, inspiration. If it's teaching, it's inspiring people to go out and find their own healing, which is what my teaching is about. If you can call it teaching, that's just the language I'm using. So let me take you back in my life when I was a young kid. I don't know the exact age, it's not that important. About 12, 13, 14, 15, I remember I was extremely sensitive to criticism. Probably a lot more sensitive than the average person, to the point where my mum was worried about me, my dad was worried about me, and I was worried about myself. I was a very, very, very sensitive man growing up. Now, I don't know where my sensitivity come from. It could be genetics. I suppose it could be made up of my genes, my conditioning. When I look in my family, when I look at my dad, it's hard to judge someone because there's so many different aspects to a person, but seeing different sides is very strong character. But also, I mean, we're all sensitive. So I don't know where I got it from. Maybe I get it from my mum a little bit. But my sensitivity came from my insecurity. And I'm gonna tell you about the person who hurt me when I was younger, who destroyed me for many years. and made me feel ashamed, and made me, I can't even explain how hateful. It's hateful to the point where I couldn't even socialise with people because I hated people. That's why I had social anxiety. I didn't trust people. I didn't like people. I thought they were going to try and manipulate me. They were going to try and test me. I had this thing as a kid, they're testing me, they're bullying me. Now, of course, within my fears and hate towards people, my insecurity, my sensitivity towards criticism and being judged or perceiving people are judging me, I did have this side to me that loved people. And of course that side made me friendships. So my first memory of criticism, my first memories of criticism, the first memory is my father. And if my dad ever sees this video, because I always worry that my mum and dad are going to see these videos, because they know that I've got a YouTube channel and they don't really go on social media. Love my dad very much. Totally forgiven my dad now, and that's why I'm doing this video. I wouldn't be able to do this video otherwise. Got no ill feelings towards my dad, nothing but love towards my dad. This video really is a thank you to my dad. So I'm going back into the past, explaining. When I was younger, I remember a situation where I was in the sitting room with my dad. I was on one couch, my dad was on the other couch, and my mum was in the kitchen. The kitchen's right next to the sitting room, and my mum was kind of occupying herself, but she came back out from the kitchen. She was standing in the doorway, and we were laughing, we were joking around. And I can't remember, I was about 13 or 14, it could be 15, but it's not that important. I was a young man, and I was present with my mum, we were laughing, and I can't remember what I was saying to them, I was being myself. And when I finished with my mum, my dad looked over at me, and he had his facial expression, and this is how I read it, I was a young boy, was, did this kind of face, very resentful. He said to me something along the lines, I can't remember the exact words, but something along the lines, do you know how stupid you sound? He said something like that, you know how stupid you sound. And that totally destroyed me in that moment. That was one of the memories I've got. And that confused my psychology. That one bit of criticism, I was so sensitive, because how I'd interpreted that is, when I'm myself and I'm kind, I look stupid and I'm less of a man. And especially to be criticised by my dad, you know, when I'm in the midst of getting on with my mum. So it really confused my whole idea about social interaction, human interaction, love, how to be a man, how to act. So I literally just went from, you know, being in adulation or happiness of my mum to being defeated. Now, the reason I took it so personally, because growing up, I thought my dad was God. Literally thought, there's a moth there, that might be a sign. I'm very spiritual, so that could be some kind of sign. Literally seeing my dad as a God. And that's because I loved my dad, and what he said was of great significance to me and great value. I took it to the heart. So when someone you love, you respect, I was also really frightened of him as well, and you see him as a God, when he says to you in a roundabout way that you're not good enough in that moment, that's what the story I took on. So after that, I was always very, very cautious about how to behave. Social anxiety was developed with a few words. That is the power of criticism. If you don't know how to handle criticism, of course I was a young boy, didn't know about personal development and spirituality, wasn't really grounded in all that, I was still naive. That's one of the criticisms of the past that hurt me at that particular time. It hurt me for the next 10 years, maybe a bit longer. There's a few other stories I'm drawing out from the past that were said by bullies. Most of the things that hurt me actually were verbal criticism. And I'm not saying this to show off, I don't know if you can see, maybe you can't, I don't know, but not anymore, I'm not a violent person at all, but when I was younger, I was fighting all the time. Like all my knuckles, I've broken my knuckles quite a lot, and I'm sure you don't think I'm showing off, I'm stressing the point. And that was because I was insecure, sensitive, and I'd always lose my temper when people criticised me. Of course, I didn't do that with my dad because I was terrified that he would annihilate me. He was very strong, physical, alpha male type man, old school, half Irish. So I was always sensitive towards criticism. So after that incident with my dad, I had so much anger and distrust, confusion, shame, embarrassment, guilt, really feeling dirty, and that was just one. That's how much I respected my dad. So when I would go into situations, especially around men, I was always very paranoid and cautious that scenario was going to get played out again. Not realizing, of course, just because one person gives you criticism, that doesn't mean it's true. That's just one person's opinion, even if a family member says it. So back to what I said, in school, I used to wear glasses when I was younger because I had a lazy eye. My eye went in. I think it was genetic. It ran in my family, and I had to start wearing glasses. I think about around this time, 13, 14. So, in the midst of being embarrassed, socially anxious, traumatized by the criticism from my dad and the violent abuse that he used to carry out towards me, lots of violent abuse that made me petrified, and maybe, because that's the thing about fear, when you're scared and you're afraid, you're on guard. That's why I always got into fights with people, because if someone said the mildest bit of criticism, I would take it literal and then react and hurt people, and sometimes I would get hurt myself, or we'd both hurt each other in a fight. So in school, I remember, I can't remember what teacher said it, it's just a very dim voice I've got now. I've really deleted the voice, I'm trying to bring it, it's gone. But a teacher said to me, "Mr. O'Halloran, you're never going to amount to anything. You're going to be a road sweeper, or you're going to end up like this." Very sensitive. I believed it. I thought I wasn't good enough. And I failed all my grades in school, all my academic grades. I had a real problem learning. Not because I wasn't intelligent, because I was terrified and traumatized, and I was always worried about failing in school and being judged. And I had a real insecurity around speaking. Why do you think I love talking so much now? Now I'm full of myself in a good way, in a humble way, and I love speaking. I'm passionate about speaking. I like the sound of my own voice, and as Alan Watts says, you should get paid to do what you love, and I get paid for speaking. So I'm going to come back to that in a second. So in school, got criticism from teachers, and again, people that I perceive to be an authority. Like my dad was an authority, he's my father, I respected him a lot. And despite the criticism, he'd done a lot of good things for me. So when someone is kind and loving to you and then really horrible, it can really hurt you. So teachers in authority had criticised me. They told me that I'm never going to amount to anything. I'm going to be homeless, I'm going to sweep the streets. I believed it. I believed what my dad said. I believed that I sound like an idiot. Sometimes he'd say really gross words like, you look like a cunt. I'm sorry to use graphic language, but that's what he said. And that was very hurtful, because the word cunt, it has got it's a very gross word. And it's obviously we're conditioned, we're taught that words have got meanings, but the energy that it is expressed by, the feeling, the sub-communication, it's powerful. Come calling you a cunt is you saying like you're the lowest of the low, you're worthless, you feel like a scumbag. That's how I felt. So I took a lot of criticism growing up, and it hurt me, and it made me anxious, it made me embarrassed, it frightened me so much, it affected my confidence with women, with people, with intimacy, with sexual intimacy with women. So for years I lived in fear, anxiety, depression, and I hated myself and I hated my life. But I got to a point in my life when I just, there was a number of events that led up, and I can't remember the particular time, there's been many events, but I just thought to myself, F this, I can't take this no more, I have to change. Now, moving forward now, the person I am now, I don't hate people, which is great. I really like the person I am. I'm successful, I've achieved all the goals I set out to achieve 5 years ago. And I didn't expect to. I was not expected to do anything. It was predicted I would be in a 9-to-5 job. If that was being lucky. I was really expected to be on job seekers allowance, which I was for a while. I was expected to be a virgin, and I was expected to be ordinary. And I don't mean that to be judgmental of anyone, because I know I don't want to criticise. I respect everyone. You know, I've been homeless. Short time I've been on job seekers allowance, but I wasn't expected to do what I'm doing today. People would have just not took me serious, my family included, and that's no way to disrespect, because I love my family. I'm just saying, because I can't blame them, because that's what I projected. I had such low self-esteem, and you know, when you live like this, people take on the beliefs that you put out. So it was only really when I started, like I said, actually before I met Floyd, I started training and boxing and weight training and doing press-ups. I was really going towards what everyone else is going towards in any area of development. I was trying to find love and confidence. Confidence was a big deal for me. So going on a journey, if you've been following me for a long time, became worldwide famous and successful. And I just want to explain something. For me, fame was never a goal. I've always been quite squeamish about fame. It's not how I was brought up. My dad didn't bring me up mum. It was all about being humble, and I still uphold those values. But I had a drive and a passion to be successful. And when I say the word successful, I don't even mean in the context that most of us identify that word with making money. It was more about being successful of who I am as a person. It was overcoming this bastard disease of social phobia with people. I had to get over it. I had to get confident. If it was going to kill me, I was going to die. Before I died and left this earth, I was going to die a confident man, whatever that means. I wanted to feel good in myself. I had to have the confidence to speak to people. Not just speak to people, to express myself, but not to just express myself like I'm doing now, to express out my talents, to do the job I wanted to do, to be the man I wanted to be, to wear the clothes I wanted to wear, to inspire people, to mix with different cultures, to get very attractive women. I know a lot of this is egotistical, but I had to reach that goal. And now the goals have gone into other things, but basically to go towards love and to love myself and love life. All the things I did, they're just actions, they're just practical movements in the world of me connecting to the thing that everyone is after, which is inside, the kingdom within, the self-love, or presence, what Eckhart Tolle talks about. The same thing, just different words. So I've answered the question right for you. So in the early years, what my dad said crushed me, but my dad is by far my best teacher. And I've got lots of teachers. I've got Les Brown, Floyd was one of my teachers who helped me with women, Alan Watts, my current mentor, Jeff Thompson. Lots of people have inspired me. Les Brown, lots of boxers, Nigel Benn, Joe Calzaghe, Ricky Hatton, Mike Tyson. I've got so many inspirations. My dad's my #1 teacher. And it was my mentor that reminded me of that, Jeff. Because my dad made me the man I am today. So that's the best way I can answer it. When people criticise us, and sometimes it does come in the form of close family members and friends, they're projecting out their own angers and dissatisfaction towards themselves. They put it onto us. I didn't have the intelligence to realise that when I was younger, when my dad said that to me, the teachers and people. I've had so much criticism. I could write a book on criticism, maybe I will. But everything's made me the man I am today. So I guess everything is about the perception and how we take that criticism, what we do with it. Of course I don't believe it's true no more. Now, I don't feel like a cunt when I speak on the camera. Sorry my language, and I don't feel stupid or whatever the names were. I love being me. And that is evident in my life. That is evident with my success. Not just my material success, the effect that I have on people's lives. This feels arrogant when I say it, but I'm going to say it because it's honest. Men transform just being in my company. People transform just being around me. That sounds very arrogant. My mum would not like me to say this, but that was the reward I got for years of abuse and trauma. and going through depression, suicidal thoughts. I just want to mention as well, I've done a lot of bad things to people. I've been in very dark places and I've forgiven myself and I'm a changed man. So I turned fear into love. I turned failure into success. I turned criticism into encouragement. What's stopping you from doing the same? Now I'm thanking my dad. If my dad sees this video, and I really mean this is not in any way to be patronising or sarcastic. Me and my dad have rebuilt a relationship, and I love my dad a lot. My dad done so many good things to me, and I'm going to go through. My dad, he gave me the most priceless thing for me personally a father could ever give his son. Not money, because my dad occasionally gave money. Money meant me nothing. My dad gave me, he gave me a lot of love, and he gave me courage. My dad used to take me out when I was younger, when I got bullied around the area. And this is, I was going to say this is between me and you, whoever watched the video, and I was petrified. I was so scared of fighting. I didn't want to fight. I was a good guy underneath. And he made me confront bullies, and I hated it. And at that moment, I didn't like myself. I'm not advocating violence because I'm not a violent person, and I can't stand violence, and I don't like bullies, so I'm not bullied. But I can't tell you how profitable that was, that lesson my dad gave me. It wasn't the fact of fighting. What my dad was doing, he was teaching me how to confront fears. Not just fears in the external world, but the fears in myself, because they're always in ourselves projected out. My dad, that's why I've got so much courage. And again, I feel arrogant saying that. That's why I've got success. That's why I'm globally recognized. I feel really arrogant saying this, sorry. I feel a little bit embarrassed, but this is the truth. It's inspiring, and my story is, it's the story, as Krishnamurti said, it's the story of mankind. There's millions of men around the world that have had an abusive relationship with a parent, or they've been criticised. This is life. But what I've learned is, it's always about how we react to things. Because we all get hurt. I've hurt people, you've hurt people, but I turned it around. And all those ill feelings I had towards my dad, they've gone, and the feelings towards myself and other people, which is evident in my life and my relationship with my dad and myself. So he done amazing things to me. So I would say to you, when people close to us hurt us, it's not nice. It doesn't mean you have to withstand it. You can say it's wrong. But it's about going on the inside. It's about looking at being grateful for what you got. It's about being grateful for the good things they've done. And as the cheesy saying is, but it's so powerful, as Gandhi said, be that change you want to see, or be the change you want to see in the world. If you change yourself, your perspective of the situation will change. And when you become successful, as I said, you're thanking the person. Because later on I realised when my dad had done those things, obviously he was expressing his own anger and his own dissatisfaction to himself, but he was also, it's what I call tough love. You know, I have to understand this is the way, these are some of my dad's beliefs, and it helped me in the end. I'm still here, and it gave me happiness, and he gave me courage, and he taught me how to go out into the world and make money and be a man, take responsibility and take criticism. And I still get criticism now, and I love it. But sometimes people criticise me and it hurts me, but I've grown thicker skin. So it's all balance, isn't it? So now people can call me all kinds of names on YouTube. It wouldn't affect me. It wouldn't affect me because of those early experiences, especially people I've never met. Most of the criticism I've got has actually grown me. It's made me better. It's made me more money. It's made me more successful. It's made me a better person. It's made me love people more, because all I do is try and look for the good in people. And obviously, as we know, when people criticise people, it's because they're not happy in their current situation. They're taking out someone else. So that's how I'd answer it. Making something positive from that pain and criticism. And that would be the same answer for how to overcome bullying, how to overcome a breakup, how to overcome loss, how to overcome losing a job. You know, life's too short, and there's just too many amazing things to do. So let this criticism be the making of you, not the breaking of you. I love you guys, enjoy the process.